In this video, we will learn how to add whole numbers with any number of digits, as well as how to estimate a sum by rounding. So we have learned in a previous lesson how to add two-digit numbers, and here we're going to extend that to now include any size of number. All right, and the process is all the same as with two-digit numbers. It's just going to take more steps with bigger numbers. So let's just jump right into our first example. Here we have 472,167 plus 68,452. Now, first thing is when you set up the problem, if it's not already set up for you, make sure that everything is lined up. So like here, notice we have the ones column, and then the tens column, and hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, and then 100,000s. All right, so make sure everything is lined up, because when we add, we are going to be adding each individual column. So beginning with the ones column, we would add 7 plus 2 to get 9. And then we would add the tens column. So we'd add the 6 plus 5 right here. So 6 plus 5, that gives you 11. So we take the 11, we take the 1 in the ones place, put that here, and the other 1 we carry up to the next column. So then we repeat the process again with now the hundreds column. So now we can add 1 plus 1 plus 4, and that gives 6. And then our comma goes there, and then we can add the thousands column. So now we have 2 plus 8, that gives you 10. So when it gives you 10, you take the 0, put it down here, and the 1 remaining you put up here on top of the 10,000s column. And then we add again. So now we add the 1, 7, and 6. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. So we take the 4 from 14. So 14, we take the 4. And then the 1 that's left over, we carry up here to the 100,000s column. And then we add the 1 plus 4 to get 5. So your answer is 540,619. And we see the answer typed up right down here. Now let's try another example and see if you can do this one on your own. So if you need to, you can pause the video and then unpause it when you're ready to check your answer. So example 2, we are adding 599,945 with 8,452. So again, to add this, first off, make sure that everything is lined up, which in this case, everything is already. Once it's lined up, we can now add the ones column. So the ones column is right here. We would add the 5 plus 2, and that gives 7. And then we add the tens column, 4 plus 5, that gives you 9. Then we add the hundreds column, 9 plus 4, that gives you 13. So we take the 3 from 13 and put it here, and the 1 we carry up to the thousands column. Then we add again the thousands column, the 1 plus the 9 plus the 8, that gives you 10 plus 8, which is 18. So with 18, we take the number 8, put it down here, and the 1 from 18 we put up here on the 10,000s column. And then we repeat again. We add the 1 plus the 9 here, and that gives you 10. So from the number 10, we take the 0 from 10 and put the 1 up here. So now we add 1 plus 5, and that gives you 6. So our final answer would be 608,397. Now we're going to show one more example problem, but before we do that, let's talk about two different terms that you need to know. And those two terms are addend and sum. Now addend are the numbers that we are adding. So in example 2, it would be the 599,945 and the 8,452. Those would both be addends. And then the sum is going to be your answer. So the answer is going to be your sum. All right, so the numbers we're adding are the addends, and the sum is your answer. So with that being said, let's take a look at one more example. And here, with example 3, now we have 3 addends because we're adding 3 different numbers. So we're adding 3 addends, and our objective is to find the sum, or the answer. Alright, so here is the same thing as when you're adding 2 numbers together. So we begin by adding the ones column. So we look at the 7, 9, and 2. 7 plus 9 is 16. 16 plus 2 is 18. So in the number 18, we're going to take the 8 and put it here, and the 1 we're going to take up on the top. And now we put the 1 in the tens column, and we add all the numbers in the tens column together. So now we have 1 plus 6, which is 7, plus 9 is 16, plus 5, you get 21. So from 21, we're going to take the 1, put it here, and the 2 we're going to carry up to the hundreds place. So now we can add the hundreds column. We have 2 plus 1, which is 3, plus 4 is 7, 7 plus 4 is 11. So we take the 1 from 11, put it here, and the other one we put up in the thousands column. So now we add the thousands column. We have 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 5 is 8, 8 plus 8 is 16. So we take the 6 from 16 and put it down here, and the 1 we carry up to the 10,000s column. So now we add that column together. We have 1 plus 7, which is 8, 8 plus 2 is 10, 10 plus 6 is 16 again. So again, we take the 6, put it here, and then carry the 1 to the 100,000s column. And now we can add the 1 and the 4 and the 1 to get 6. So your sum, or your answer, is 666,118. Now to finish off this lesson, we are going to discuss how to estimate a sum by rounding. And this is going to come in handy in many different scenarios, but especially when you're just trying to get a rough number or rough estimate. Alright, so what we're trying to do here is just kind of figure out what number is it close to when we're adding. And when we do this, there's actually different ways you could round or estimate. But here we're going to round each addend to the place of the greatest value. And then we're going to add the rounded numbers together. So what does that look like? Well, here we have 7,814 plus 227. So the way that we're approaching this is we're going to round the 7,814 to the thousands place. So we're going to round to the thousands place, and we do that by looking at the 8. And because 8 is 5 or bigger, the 7 would round up to an 8. And then the numbers after would be zeros. And then 227, okay, if we round this to the greatest place value, we're going to round the hundreds place. So we round the 2 by looking at the 2 after it, and because the 2 in the tens place is less than 5, the 2 is going to remain as a 2, and then the following numbers would be zeros. So that's what we mean when we say round each addend to the place of the greatest value. So now we have 8,000 plus 200, and that would give you our approximation of 8,200. And the actual answer, by the way, is 8,041. So we notice that we're pretty close. The other way you could have done this is you could have taken these numbers right here, and instead of rounding the 7,814 to the thousands place, you could have rounded to maybe the hundreds place. So if you round the hundreds place, you're going to have to look at the 1, and because it's less than 5, the 8 is going to stay as an 8, and the last 2 numbers would be zeros. So if you do it that way, you're going to actually get a better approximation, but it's going to maybe sometimes be more difficult to add. So for this lesson, we're just going to round to the place of the greatest value. So whatever the first digit is, you're going to round that number. But just realize we could do this other ways if we wanted to. Because if you do it this way, 7,800 plus 200, 800 plus 200 is 1,000. So now we have 7 plus 1,000, that gives you 8,000 total. Alright, so notice that's a better approximation. It's closer to the actual answer, but it may be a little more difficult to do the math at times. Let's try one more example, and if you want, you can see if you can do this one on your own. So if you can pause the video and then see if you get this correct by yourself, and then you can unpause when you are finished. All right, so this one, we have 219,256 plus 785,219. So using our method, we're going to round each addend, or each number, to the place of the greatest value. So the 219,000 number, you're going to round the 2 by looking at the number after it. So you're going to look at the 1. So because 1 is smaller than 5, that means the 2 remains as a 2, and the numbers after would be zeros. And then the second number, 785,219, we are going to round the first digit, and we do that by looking at the 8. And because 8 is 5 or bigger, the 7 would round up to an 8, and the numbers after would all be zeros. So what we have is 200,000 plus 800,000. So when we add these together, 2 plus 8 is 10. So we have 10 followed by the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. So if you write those 5 zeros in, we now have a total of 6 zeros, and our answer is going to be 1 million. So we have estimated the sum to be about 1 million. And the actual answer is 1,004,475. So it's pretty close to the actual answer. And by the way, I should point out this symbol right here is the approximate symbol. So this means approximately, or it means it's not exactly a certain amount. So notice it's kind of like the equal sign. Equal would be an exact value, but with the squiggly lines like that. So this right here means it's not quite equal, but it's close to that number. All right, so that's our symbol for approximate, or approximately. So that means we're estimating. All right, so that concludes our lesson for today. We will see you next time.